The bathroom is one of the most fascinating places because you can learn a lot about a person or an area by just using that bathroom, seeing that bathroom, or seeing the lack of a bathroom. And that's why I decided to take a trip to Philadelphia. One of my boyfriend's favorite shows is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And while I've seen a good amount of episodes of this show with him, I still haven't seen the full thing. And there's a lot that I don't know about it. What I do know, though, is that most of the show takes place at an Irish bar named Paddy's Pub. So, in order to learn more about It's Always Sunny, I decided to make it my goal to travel to Philadelphia and use the bathroom at Paddy's Pub. Before we arrived in Philadelphia, we had to stop at a rest stop bathroom. Here, I noticed a massive gap between the bathroom stall's wall and the floor. And this really pissed me off, because I thought the whole purpose of the wall was that it's supposed to separate the outside world from my bathroom experience. I tried my best not to let this invasion of privacy bother me, though, and after I disposed of my bodily fluids, we continued on our journey until the car decided to run out of its own fluids in the form of diesel exhaust fluid, that is. We stopped at a dealership where we could buy some more, and I decided to take another trip to the bathroom there. Here, I was met with a similar issue, a large gap between the door and the wall, which allowed the outside world to peer in on my personal business. I looked up why these gaps existed, and apparently it's to help make cleaning easier while also allowing you to see if a bathroom is occupied. For the rest of the trip, I felt like I was plagued by gaps. Not just by the gaps in the bathroom wall, but rather the concept of gaps itself. After buying the diesel exhaust fluid, we couldn't find a funnel to fill the car up with it. For some reason, the dealership didn't have one we could use, and we were forced to make a makeshift funnel out of a water bottle. The problem was that the bottle was too big, and the gap between the bottle and the intake hole made the filling process extremely inefficient. Eventually, we arrived in Philadelphia, where I was met with an even bigger issue. Turns out, the pub from It's Always Sunny isn't actually in Philadelphia. Yeah, I guess the show's name is just a big lie, because Paddy's Pub is actually in LA. My trip to Philadelphia was now ruined by a continent-sized gap between me and my goals. I felt like the entire trip was a waste, but we were already in Philadelphia. So I decided to just try my best to enjoy the city. After all, Philadelphia is a pretty cool place with a lot of history and important landmarks. There are a lot of sightseeing opportunities, cool celebrities, and a lot of new and advanced technology, I guess. There's also some good food, obviously, like Philly cheesesteaks, which I had to try, and yeah, it was pretty good. We went to this place that was showing Cars 3 on their TV. I just thought that was cool. But no matter where I went, I still felt like the concept of gaps followed me everywhere. I just couldn't unsee it. Even this fucking bell has a gap in it, or crack in it. And that's why it's famous or something. I felt like coming to Philadelphia to try to get closer to It's Always Sunny was a mistake. That was until we discovered one more glimmer of hope in the form of Mac's Tavern. This is a bar created by one of It's Always Sunny's creators and stars, Rob McElhenney, alongside his wife, Caitlin Olsen, who also stars in the show. This was the closest we were going to get to Paddy's Pub, and so I had to go in and see what it was all about. The tavern had a lot of stuff on the walls. There were a lot of It's Always Sunny themed decorations and cast photos alongside references to other shows like the Ryan Reynolds football show or whatever. My boyfriend started to talk to me about all the decorations and how they were referencing specific episodes of It's Always Sunny. To be honest, I didn't really understand a lot of it because I hadn't seen most of the show, and I just felt really left out. I decided to distract myself with a drink, but I only embarrassed myself even more. I quickly ran away to the bathroom, hoping there would be something for me in there, but there wasn't. It was just the bathroom with a large gap between the door and the floor. I guess the stickers and graffiti were kind of cool, but it wasn't enough to lift up my mood. I don't know. I don't really know what I expected, I suppose. This bathroom was supposed to be the climax of the trip, and yet it didn't feel that special. All it did was just remind me of all the gaps in my life. The next day, I left Philadelphia feeling hopeless. I felt like I was chasing the end of a rainbow, where the gap between me and my goals only got bigger the closer I got. This trip was supposed to make me feel closer to It's Always Sunny, but it just ended up doing the opposite. On the ride back from Philly, we decided to use the bathroom at one more rest stop. I walked in fully prepared to meet another restroom with large gaps that would remind me of all my troubles. But I was wrong. When I closed the door to my stall, I noticed that there were no gaps between the door and the wall. Also, the gap between the wall and the floor was small enough that I couldn't really see into the stall next to me. It blew my mind. This whole trip, I was under the impression that these gaps were unavoidable, that these gaps had to exist for reasons like cleanliness or so people could see whether a stall was occupied. But clearly, that wasn't true. Clearly, it was possible to progress to a place where these gaps didn't exist. It was possible to close these gaps. I left the bathroom reborn, with a new outlook. In life, there's always going to be gaps. Gaps between places, gaps between people, and gaps between us and our goals. It's going to feel like there's nothing we can do about those gaps. There are going to be justifications for the existence of those gaps, but maybe those reasons are wrong, and it's possible to close those gaps. There's always a way. Sometimes we might have to think outside of the box, and sometimes the right path might be glaringly obvious. And in my case, if I really want to close the gap between me and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, then maybe I should just watch the goddamn show.